Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak Extra. So, Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, is grappling with an unprecedented economic crisis that has sparked widespread protests across the country. The recent removal of fuel subsidies, the soaring inflation, and a weakening local currency have pushed millions of Nigerians to the brink of poverty. As the situation continues to deteriorate, citizens are taking to the street to demand urgent actions from the government. With food shortages, skyrocketing prices, and security concerns on the rise, the protest has become a catalyst for change. But what are the underlying causes of this economic turmoil, and how will the government respond to the growing unrest as Nigeria teeters on the edge of economic collapse? So, joining us by phone call to dissect the situation is an economist, that's Steve Nwachukwu. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, and good morning, Nigerians.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show this morning, even with the little time that we gave you the notice. But let's talk about the implications of this. I mean, we have spoken about what this could mean to Nigeria's economy if this protest should hold. And you must have, of course, noticed and surveyed what has happened the first 2 days of this protest. What is your take on this and the implications in our economy?
Okay, thank you once again. First and foremost, yes, the general and overall impact will be on our GDP. And have in mind that GDP is the gross domestic product and is a gross aggregate of business activities, both the formal and informal sectors. Both those in the construction, building, housing, hotel, banking, name it, transportation, everyone contribute to the general GDP of Nigeria. And when there is a sort of protest that could, obstruct business activities, obstruct movements, definitely it will slow down this very overall aggregate business transactions. And that will result to, well, some level of revenue loss on the side of the government, and also revenue loss to the SMEs, and the most affected will be the basic traders, those who trade, buy and sell things on daily and depend on daily income to survive. So these are the three categories of people that will be affected: the government revenue, the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises, and the basic traders. They will be the most affected. As shops are shut down, as businesses closes, as means of transportation is nowhere, and as also people are restricted and confined in their homes. It has reduced the consumptions. It has also reduced business transactions that were going on within the Nigerian business environment. So it will definitely impact on our GDP. But like I said earlier, the most affected will be the basic traders.
Okay, Mr. Stephen, thank you so much for that. But then a lot of Nigerians are actually angry with the government's policy. How has the government's economic reform affected the average Nigerian in your own take?
Yes, I think like you said earlier, the reason for this protest is because that is called hunger protest. People are agitating, people are protesting, people are rioting because of the level of hardship that have befallen on Nigerians as a result of some of ill-advised, ill-conceived policy decisions of government on the side of the monetary and the fiscal policy decisions. The most popular of these very two decisions or policies of government is the removal of fuel subsidy, and also the issues around the flotation of the naira, which have resulted in total collapse and weakening of naira, or what we may call devaluation of naira. Then the other ones could also be some of the monetary policies of the CBN, which have caused the rise in NPR. The NPR we have today, that is the monetary policy rate, is above 26.75, exactly 26.75%. And that is not healthy for the economy even for the SMEs, even for every business. There's no business that will strive at above 40-45% interest rate. That is the main cause of the protest. And Nigerians have not felt well about it. Have in mind, yes, that energy cost is the most driving factor. And in other clients, you may have their energy costs at maybe gas, cost of gas and the rest, but our own is narrowed. Ours is narrowed to petrol. Unfortunately, past and successive governments have not done much to improve our means of transportation. We only solely depend on petrol-powered machines to move around, even to power our homes. A good number of businesses depend on petrol for those generators they use. A good number of homes depend also on petrol to power their house and homes. So it's also transportation. So if we have a good rail system or a mass transit system, both intercity and interstate or intracity, if we have, but ours, 90 to 95% of our movement is depending on petrol. That was why when the fuel subsidy was removed, it skyrocketed everything. Cost of movement, even cost of transporting agricultural products. There is a report that says that over 35% is incurred in transporting most of these agricultural products to their end users. 35%. That is outrageous to have 35% as input cost for movement of agri-products. That's why food costs, food items, agri-products are all going up. So these are the problems Nigerians are facing, and it has definitely affected their income, affected their well-being, and all that. Thank you.
All right, Steve, let's talk about the protest and how it's going to affect economic stability. So Nigerians have been pushing for the president to come out and address them and give them hope and tell them what the plan is moving forward. But it is day 3 and we're still yet to hear from the presidency. What is the, how do you think the response or lack of response to the protest from the president is going to affect economic stability?
Well, I think it's quite unfortunate that we are yet to hear from Mr. President. Every Nigerian and well-thinking Nigerian have expected President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to address the nation, even if for the sake of address. Just give that very recipe of hope or renewed hope by also saying the rhetoric, the things that they used to say. Yes, I know you're in pain. Yes, I'm doing A, B, C, D to get us out of the woods. But unfortunately, we've not had him. But there's still time for him. Today and tomorrow is still available for him. But the point is, we should be counting the cost. Counting the cost on the side of the government revenue, counting the cost on the cost implication of this protest on the petty traders, the informal sector, even the formal sector. He should not be taking his ego above these very situations. The fact is, if this protest continues and lasts for these 10 days, and there is a total obstruction of business activities, a lot of Nigerians will be totally bankrupt. A lot of Nigerians will totally lose their capital. Those petty traders that depend on daily income to survive may eat up the remaining little capital they have, and more people will be thrown into the multi-dimensional poverty. That is the risk. That is the counting of the cost. So the president should also understand that, in as much as, well, you have nothing much to tell to the protesters, but you need to dissuade them from continuing this very protest. That is a fact. If he continues to place his ego above the suffering, above the cost of this very protest, it will affect the general business ecosystem further. Like I said, the informal sectors constitute more than 65-60% of the entire aggregate business activities. And each sector is the most possibly affected sector, it will definitely take a good number of chunk of Nigerians into poverty line. We are talking about the hardship. It will become worse. So if you think that you want to blame the organizers of this very protest for causing more hardship of Nigerians, be rest assured that you as the government, the responsibility is on you. The blame will be there, right there on your desk. It's not on the organizers who must have obstructed business, who must have obstructed movement, who must have shut down shops and the businesses. Rather, the blame will be on you if more Nigerians fall into the poverty line as a result of this protest. So the onus is on him now to come up and address the nation for the sake of addressing the nation. You may not have concrete answers to the problem, but address that would fall as a form of dissuading these very individuals.
Okay, Mr. Stephen, if you can hear me. If you can hear me, let me ask this question, still relating it to what Summayya has asked, how this is going to take a toll on the economic implications for the country. How crisis and, protest has really resulted into some violence and some properties were destroyed. What does that mean for the government, to make up for these losses for the short term and the long term?
Yeah, that's unfortunate, counting the cost. That's it. Counting the cost on the destruction of these properties is a cost both on the government side and even the individuals and corporate organizations who must have been affected by this destruction. It's a cost on every one of us. So as we speak, the estimated loss to revenue is well over 1.5. This is day 3. Well over 1.5 trillion as we speak. If the strike or protest continues, it will hit 2, 3, 4, 5 trillion. Like I said earlier, there are 3 segments of people that this cost, both lack of business activity cost and destruction of property cost on. The government revenue will be shrink because government depends on value-added tax. By the time you don't buy those items you needed to buy and you'll be charged the value-added tax, government will not receive such revenue. Government will also receive both income tax as a result of the fact that no business activities going on. So on the side of the SMEs, the production lines have been shut down. A good number of companies now, they are not open. In fact, I received series of emails, notification that they have been shut down their business for this number of days.
Okay, so let me quickly ask this question.
Income, both the top and bottom line.
Mr. Stephen, if you can hear me, let me quickly ask this question in 1 minute or 2, rather. What does this mean for the government, this particular ruling party, in terms of coming back for the 2027 maybe elections again?
Well, it's part of the counting the cost, the political implication of their naive, their insincerity, their lack of sympathy on the people. Yes, it's not going to tell well on the party governing APC because Nigerians' perception is that you hate us, you don't love us, you are bringing more hardship to us. So that's why government needs to take proactive measures as we speak. The cost will also be on them on aspects that, yes, they have lost a good number of members because all Nigerians are suffering, both the APC and other political parties members. So I'm sure a good number of people will dislike the party, will dislike their manifesto, will dislike the way they are running the affairs of the nation. So it is also a cost on them politically. So the chances of 2027 will be slimmer for him if he doesn't take proactive measures now to forestall a possible impact on their political fortunes come 2027. So yes, the cost is also on them on political aspects come 2027. So it is something they should understand and take proactive measures and forestall a possible tsunami that may happen to them in 2027.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Steve Nwachukwu, for joining us at this hour to dissect this situation. Hopefully we'll reach out to you subsequently. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was Steve Nwachukwu, economic analyst, giving us the implications of this protest going on in Nigeria on the people and the nation's economy. So yes, we're back to the phone line. You can go ahead, call us based on what he said and your take on this situation. Let's hear from you quickly before we round up this program. I think we have a few messages.
Yeah, it caught my attention before we get the display of the messages. When I asked him about the coming for the 2027 election, and what he talked about, people may dislike their manifestos, people may dislike their policies, but whichever government, whichever president is elected, I'm sure would have faced this kind of situation at the end of the day, because you don't expect in 1 year for something to change. You have to give it time. This is not me supporting anybody, but just being neutral. And from what Mr. Stephen has said so far, just to buttress that, definitely whichever person, politicians, the Nigerians, everyone is going through this hardship.
It's really scary. It's really scary how we got here. Do we have a call?
Well, I think not yet, but we can take some of the WhatsApp messages. And at the same time, being a financial expert, he has actually said a lot about the cost implication of the protest, or even in terms of crisis and what it does to the economy and the country at large. So this is not about an individual, it's not about the president, it's not about the people in the seats. This is about the country. We're talking about how it affects our lives, our daily lives. I mean, you heard him mentioning the trillions or billions of naira that were lost just for the 2 or 3 days that people have not been able to go to work to generate revenues and what have you. So this is a loss. At the same time, we know we are demanding for what we feel
a better future
for our generation, our lives, But then we have to also think about the cost implication and how this whole thing, when resulting into violence, affects the economy. Because that's exactly what we are fighting for. But then we are taking it back again, from some of the actions that some of the Nigerians have actually displayed.
Indeed. It's always good to look at, the future, look at the present, look at the implications of all these decisions we're making already without even, thinking violently. The economy is losing a chunk load of money. So hence the reason. And one thing I wanted to ask, which he answered very calmly,
I'm sure we are going to have him on the news for some phone calls so he can get to ask.
And I said, the thought was, who is to blame for all of this? But then he said, as much as we want to blame the organizers of the protests, it still falls on the government. And a lot of people are saying the government still have the answer.
I mean, the democracy still boils down to democracy. The government is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's what it means, and every other country practicing democracy, this is what it means. When your citizens come out to protest or ask for or demand, you have to listen.
What to do.
Yes.
Think of what to do.
You can go
it might not be 100%, but you have to give them at least something. Just have to give them something.
But I mean, to an extent, I will still give kudos to some aspect of some of the things that we're taking off. I mean, we've seen the House of Reps cutting down their salaries, just to give back to the society, to curb the economic hardship, which I think for 6 months they're going to be doing that. In total is about 100 and something million naira every month for the next 6 months. And then we've seen the scheme, the student loan, which has been implemented. I mean, 20,000 students have been able to access the student loan. About a billion and 1.1 billion has been disbursed so far. Which, I mean, if given the time, I'm sure we'll see a lot of changes in some of the sectors that people are actually protesting for. I mean, with education, the power sector, I mean, the roads, schools. I mean, a lot of things that needs to be reformed, and they need time for that to happen. In 1 year, it can happen. I mean, and to say that, yesterday we had Wilson, which is also an analyst, a public affairs analyst. He said something that actually caught my attention, and he said they should have screenshotted what they met in the office and compared to what they want to do. So the Nigerians will be able to see
track the progress.
What they have met in when they resumed office, that okay, this is what we meant and this is what we are hoping to do. But these are the ways that we want to implement them, and we need
please, can we get a phone call? Are we able to connect to our viewers, because I'm sure they're trying to call us? I'm not hearing anything from our director.
But then we have a lot of WhatsApp messages as well that we can actually take.
Please, if you're with us, let's hear from you.
We just have a few minutes.
All right. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Ibrahim Poto, calling from Kebbi State.
Ibrahim from Kebbi. We have not heard much from Kebbi. What is happening there?
Yeah, Kebbi, there was a little bit demonstration in Kebbi, although it is not that much. And there were not much, damages, because it was well coordinated.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and but I'm going to talk about the issue of this protesting issue.
Yeah.
And the stand of the government. We all know that the government supposed to take action, in the sense that they need to call on the leaders that organize the process. Although they have said that they did not know the groups that organize the process, which I am sure that some state governors were able to call on the protesters, leaders from various states to sit with them and then negotiate with them.
Sure.
That has happened. That was why there was no clear identification of who that are going to protest. So, like in our state here, it has happened, and because the state officials, they call on the groups and they speak with them, we don't know whether they have compensated them or something of that kind. That is the more reason why some of the protesters came out angrily, because the groups that are supposed to voice out the anger of the people, they failed to come out and address and call on the president. Because there are groups that are registered aiming to cry for the people or to transmit the aggression of the people to the government. And it appears that those groups fail to do what they are registered to do, and the masses met with no option rather than to come to the street themselves and demonstrate their displeasure. Although I am condemning the actions of some of the protesters by breaking shops and also breaking government facilities to do away with the property. That is not the aim of the call, because we are trying to fix the nation. We are not going to, add another problem on top of a problem. So, by the look of things, based on the analyzing points that your guests from the founder called, we have a whole lot of trillions of naira that we lost during 1, 2, 3 days. So, the government needs to come out and voice something that will calm the nerves of the people. If they fail to address the nation, things are going to go worse than this that we are seeing, because this is just the beginning. Some of the states have been experiencing bomb blasts. Many lives have been lost. Policemen have been killed. Other things have been destroyed. So the government needs to speak to the people so that the people will have a rest of mind that, yes, the government knows what is doing and they hear the cry of the people.
All right, thank you so much.
That is my candid opinion.
Thank you so much.
Great opinion.
I mean, you said a lot. Yes, he has said a lot, and we can just take few WhatsApp messages after this. Summayya, what do you have to say? Because he has actually said a lot. I mean, yesterday,
I think we have overstretched. We spoke about this.
Yes, and so he talked about the bomb blast, which I think yesterday we heard something like that in Borno, which we were yet to get a real confirmation, but I think at the end of the day we had the confirmation.
Yes, we did. Saying about 11 people were injured and one person was killed.
Which is just a protest. I don't know where this. But then don't forget that bandits, terrorists are actually waiting for opportunity where they have gatherings and they also take their own share of whatever it is that they intend to do.
Yeah.
So in situations like that, the country is actually scared of a lot of things when the protest was about to happen, the security and all that. And that's why you've seen thousands of, soldiers, policemen were deployed to states to make sure that citizens are actually safe. So let's take some WhatsApp messages. I wish we could read all your WhatsApp messages. We have a lot of it, but then we cannot take all. But let me just see if I can anyone that my hand goes across. This is coming from, even though you forgot to mention your name, I'm not happy about our leaders, especially our Senate president that opens his mouth and says that they are there protesting while we're here eating. Well, I think they've debunked that story, that's not what he said. Maybe you can check again to see what he actually has
yeah.
said, so we don't have a information and miscommunication.
Already the country is tense, so we don't need extra tense.
So he said, well, it's
but
just
I appreciate you.
Definitely.
At this point, I think the government have already felt the wrath of Nigerians. So it's okay. We don't need to bid them more. We just need them to come out and address the nation on what way to move forward.
There's a lot for them
and
to
get
also
people
digest.
out of hunger.
There's a lot to digest.
But yes, this is the much we can take due to time constraint. Of course, appreciate everyone that called in, shared in their thoughts and take on what is going on. You all know that you're supposed to stay glued 247 on Trust Television. We'll be bringing you up to speed with a lot of things that you have missed. Thank you so much for watching. I am Summayya Abubakar. Do have a lovely weekend and please stay safe.
Yes, definitely stay safe. I am Fatima Ahmed.